Clara stood by the window of her small town home, looking out at the dusty road that wound through the familiar landscape of sun-soaked fields and towering oaks. She watched the morning sun rise slowly, illuminating her quiet world, but inside her heart was a storm. The same routine lingered around her like an old blanket: school, chores, and weekends spent helping her family at their modest flower shop. While she loved her family dearly, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that life had more to offer than just everyday tasks. Her friends often spoke about their dreams of living in far-off cities or embarking on grand adventures, but Clara felt shackled by what was expected of her. "You should be practical," they would say. "What's wrong with wanting a simple life?" But what was simple to them felt suffocating to her. The idea of living in a cozy house on the same street forever made her restless. There was a whole world out there, waiting for her exploration. As Clara daydreamed, her eyes glanced at a vibrant poster pinned to the wall: this weekend's county fair. It ignited a spark of excitement within her chest. The fair promised thrilling rides, colorful games, and laughter filled the air. It also offered the perfect chance for Clara to escape her everyday life, even if just for a little while. "I'm going," she declared with determination. Yet an idea began to form: what if she could attend the fair in disguise? This way, she could experience freedom away from her name and reputation. She imagined herself wearing a cowboy outfit, fitting right into the lively crowd without anyone knowing who she really was. In that moment, Clara felt a thrill of excitement mixed with nervousness, a feeling she hadn't experienced in too long. With newfound hope, Clara began planning what to wear and how she would transform into someone brave and adventurous at the fair. Little did she know, this decision would lead her to encounters that would change everything. The day of the county fair finally arrived, and Clara could hardly contain her excitement. She stood in front of her mirror, carefully putting on the outfit she had chosen: a plaid shirt, worn jeans, and a sturdy pair of cowboy boots that gave her a sense of strength. To complete her look, she placed a wide-brimmed cowboy hat on her head, tilting it just enough to cast a shadow over her eyes. As she admired her reflection, she couldn't help but smile. She looked like someone who belonged in the wild, ready for adventure. With her heart racing, Clara grabbed her bag and headed for the door. The fair was just a short walk from her home, and as she stepped outside into the warm sunlight, she felt a rush of freedom. The fresh scent of hay and popcorn filled the air as she approached the fairgrounds, alive with laughter and music. Colorful banners fluttered above her, and the sounds of joy surrounded her like a warm embrace. Once inside the fair, Clara took a deep breath, soaking up every sight and sound. She blended into the crowd, feeling anonymous yet thrillingly adventurous. The familiar faces she knew from town were there too, but in her disguise, she felt like a new person. She wandered from booth to booth, playing games and sampling treats without anyone acknowledging the shy flower shop girl they all knew. As Clara made her way through the bustling crowd, she spotted a stall featuring a giant stuffed bear for the winner of a ring toss game. Without thinking twice, she decided to give it a shot. With each toss, she focused intently, channeling her energy into scoring a win. To her delight, when she finally landed the prize, cheers erupted around her, and for a moment, all eyes were on her, this daring stranger who had captured everyone's attention. For Clara, this was just the beginning of her adventure at the fair, an adventure that would soon lead her to unexpected connections and perhaps even true love. The fairgrounds buzzed with excitement as Clara stepped deeper into the heart of the event. Brightly colored lights twinkled above her, creating a magical canopy that illuminated the happy faces of children and adults alike. The air was filled with delicious aromas: sweet cotton candy, buttery popcorn, and mouth-watering corn dogs wafted together, tempting her to try everything. Everywhere she looked, vibrant booths beckoned with games and prizes. Laughter erupted from families as they challenged each other at ring tosses, dart games, and balloon pop contests. Nearby, a lively crowd cheered on people trying their luck on the Ferris wheel, its colorful gondolas spinning high against the blue sky. Clara felt a thrill of joy as she watched couples giggle while sharing a ride together, their faces bright with delight. In one corner of the fairground, a live band played upbeat country tunes that made people tap their feet and sway along. Clara could hardly resist joining in, her heart yearned to dance freely without worrying about who might be watching. She felt alive in this atmosphere filled with energy and laughter. It was as if the fair had sprinkled magic dust over everyone, transforming them into carefree versions of themselves. As she wandered through the bustling crowd, Clara spotted children racing towards the petting zoo, where cute bunnies and fluffy goats awaited their attention. She smiled at the sight, a reminder of simpler times when all she needed was a bit of joy from animals to brighten her day. As she paused at a game booth adorned with plush toys hanging high above, Clara's eyes sparkled with anticipation. She felt an urge to try winning another prize, a reminder that today was hers to enjoy without any inhibitions. Suddenly boldened by the fair's energy, she approached the booth again with renewed determination, ready for whatever adventure awaited next in this vibrant celebration of life. With her heart racing from the thrill of winning, Clara moved from one game to another, each filled with laughter and excitement. As she approached a popular stall featuring a lively competition involving tossing rings onto bottles, she noticed a handsome young man standing nearby, his confident stance and warm smile instantly drawing her attention. He wore a simple plaid shirt that accentuated his rugged features and a cowboy hat perched casually on his head. The man had just finished tossing a ring when Clara caught his eye. "Nice throw," she called out playfully, her heart fluttering as he turned to face her. "Thanks. But I think I might need some tips," he responded with a grin, gesturing toward the bottles with a hint of mischief in his eyes. "I'm Jake," he introduced himself. "Clara," she replied, feeling energized by their instant connection. They began chatting as they waited for their turns at the game. To her delight, Jake shared stories about his life as a rancher, describing the animals he cared for and the adventures he experienced on the open range. Clara felt an undeniable bond forming between them as they exchanged tales of their love for animals and the great outdoors. Soon it was Clara's turn to toss the rings, and she felt Jake watching intently. With newfound confidence bolstered by his presence, she focused on her aim and scored twice in quick succession, earning cheers from nearby spectators. Jake clapped enthusiastically and said, "You're a natural. I could use someone like you at the ranch." Their laughter echoed over the sounds of the fair as they continued to talk and joke together. In that moment, surrounded by vibrant colors and joyful noise, Clara realized that this encounter was more than just chance, it felt like destiny. She had come to the fair seeking adventure but found something deeper, a connection that sparked excitement within her heart. Little did she know that this meeting would lead to even greater adventures together, and perhaps even love. As the sun began to set, creating a warm glow over the fair, Clara felt alive. She and Jake continued to stroll through the fairgrounds, laughter bubbling up between them like soda fizzing in a glass. Jake was amazed by her playful spirit, and Clara was excited to reveal more of herself while still cloaked in her disguise. They approached a booth with a large spinning wheel promising various prizes, and Clara's eyes sparkled with thrill. "Wanna give it a spin?" she asked, the anticipation evident in her voice. "Only if you go first," Jake challenged, a grin spreading across his face. Clara stepped up confidently, grasping the wheel's handle with a determined expression. As she spun it, the colorful segments whirled by, and she cheered as it landed on the biggest prize, a giant plush horse. The crowd around them erupted in applause, and Clara raised her arms in triumph, basking in the attention. "I guess I'm just lucky today," she laughed, secretly relishing the thrill of impressing Jake. Jake clapped enthusiastically and waved her toward the booth where they would collect her prize. "You're full of surprises, Clara." He was completely taken with her playful nature, that inner spark shining through like the colorful lights surrounding them. As they continued from game to game, Clara showcased her skills at throwing darts and shooting hoops. Each time she excelled, Jake cheered for her, his admiration growing by the second. Their laughter mingled with the fair's festive atmosphere, and Clara reveled in the joy of being someone new, a confident adventurer rather than the shy flower shop girl people usually saw. Yet with each victory, she felt a twinge of guilt about keeping her true identity hidden. Clara wanted to share her wins with him honestly but feared the moment she would have to reveal who she really was. But in that magical evening filled with games and laughter, she set aside her worries and embraced the moment, delighting in every second spent with Jake as they created memories together that would last long after the fair ended. As the night grew darker, the fair came alive with twinkling lights and lively music, creating an enchanting atmosphere that wrapped around Clara and Jake like a warm blanket. They wandered hand in hand through the bustling crowds, their laughter mixing with the joyful shouts of other fairgoers. With every game they played and every prize Clara won, their bond deepened, radiating warmth and excitement. Jake couldn't help but be captivated by Clara's effervescent spirit. Her playful banter made him chuckle, and he enjoyed watching her face light up with each victory. As they shared stories about their lives, Clara unveiled snippets of her adventurous dreams, while Jake spoke of his life on the ranch, highlighting the beauty of working with animals and the thrill of rodeos. They found common ground in their passions for nature and adventure, and it felt like they had known each other for years rather than mere hours. A sudden burst of laughter drew them toward a dunk tank where local volunteers took turns being dunked into cool water after a successful throw. The sight was too amusing to resist. Clara challenged Jake to a throwing contest. "I bet I can dunk him on my first try," she declared, confidence shining in her eyes. "Let's see what you've got," Jake replied with an encouraging grin. With all eyes on her, Clara stepped up to the line and threw the ball. It sailed through the air with surprising accuracy, hitting the target squarely. The splash echoed as the volunteer fell into the tank, sending cheers erupting from the crowd. Jake clapped loudly, his admiration evident as he cheerfully proclaimed, "That was amazing. You really are full of surprises." The thrill of the moment sent delightful butterflies fluttering in Clara's stomach as she basked in his praise. Every shared laugh and playful moment brought them closer together, weaving an invisible thread that connected their hearts. As they continued to explore the fair under a canopy of stars, mysteries seemed to swirl around them, mysteries of adventure, friendship, and perhaps something more, waiting to unfold as their evening together progressed. The evening air turned crisp as Clara and Jake continued to enjoy the fair, excitement buzzing around them like fireflies in the night. They shared stories and laughter, and Clara felt truly alive. But as they approached a booth set up for face painting, an unexpected challenge loomed ahead. Jake's face lit up with enthusiasm. "Why don't we get our faces painted? It could be fun," he suggested. Clara's heart skipped a beat, her mind racing with worries about revealing her true identity beneath the paint. Although she couldn't bear the thought of being seen without her disguise, she didn't want to disappoint him either. Before she could respond, Jake had already stepped up to the booth, eagerly chatting with the artist about possible designs. Clara stood frozen for a moment, her mind racing. Would the artist recognize her? What if someone she knew wandered by? Panic began to bubble inside her, a feeling that threatened to burst out and ruin this magical evening. "Coming?" Jake's cheerful voice jolted her from her thoughts. With determination, she decided to push through her fear. "Sure. Let's do it," she exclaimed with a nervous smile. As Clara sat in the chair, the artist began to paint colorful swirls on her cheeks. The brush tickled her skin, but all she could think about was keeping her identity safe. If Jake saw beneath the disguise, would he still like her? Would he see past the playful exterior into the girl who felt so trapped in expectation back home? When the painting was finished, Jake gasped in delight at how beautiful she looked. Each swirl accentuated the adventure seeker she had become for the night. Yet as Clara gazed into the mirror, she felt a twinge of fear rise in her chest. What would happen if someone else recognized her when they saw this design? Their joyful banter brought a smile back to her face, but anxiety lingered just below the surface. As they headed away from the booth, Clara resolved to keep enjoying every moment with Jake while battling against the truth that loomed ahead, the truth of who she truly was and what it might mean for their blossoming connection. Feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety, Clara pulled Jake along to the food stalls, hoping to distract herself from the overwhelming thoughts swirling in her mind. As they shared a basket of warm funnel cakes, she noticed a familiar face in the crowd, her childhood friend, Lila, who had come to the fair with her family. "Lila?" Clara called out, waving energetically. Lila's face brightened as she rushed over, hugging Clara tightly. "I didn't expect to see you here. Are you having fun?" "Definitely. But I need your advice," Clara said, her voice dropping as she glanced toward Jake, who was looking at the colorful lights in awe. Lila followed Clara's gaze, quickly piecing together that her friend was smitten with the handsome rancher. What's going on? You look amazing, she gushed, noticing Clara's makeup and cowboy outfit. It's a bit complicated, Clara confessed, feeling her heart race. I'm really enjoying my time with Jake, but I'm still in disguise. I've been having so much fun pretending to be someone else, but it's making me nervous. What if he finds out who I really am? Lila's expression shifted to one of understanding. Clara, you have to be honest with him. It's great that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, but a relationship built on lies won't last. You don't want him to like just the persona you've created. Clara sighed, feeling the weight of Lila's words. You're right, but what if he doesn't accept me once he knows, she asked, biting her lip. Then he's not worth it. You deserve someone who likes you for you, or the real you, Lila encouraged firmly. As Clara processed this advice, she felt a flicker of courage spark within her. Perhaps she could find a way to reveal her true self without everything falling apart. She glanced back at Jake, whose joyful expression made her heart swell with affection. Maybe I'll tell him tonight, she decided, determination lighting her eyes. With support from Lila and newfound resolve, Clara set off to find Jake again, ready to face the truth and embrace whatever came next in their adventure together. As the fair reached its grand finale, Clara's heart raced with anticipation and fear. The vibrant fireworks began to light up the night sky, bursting in brilliant colors that mirrored her swirling emotions. Clara stood beside Jake, who was completely captivated by the spectacle above them, his face illuminated by the glow of the fireworks. She felt a mix of joy and dread as she realized this was her moment to reveal her true self. Taking a deep breath, she turned to Jake, who was still gazing upwards, excitement sparkling in his eyes. Jake, she started, her voice barely rising above the crackling sounds of fireworks. He looked down at her, his expression curious and encouraging. What's on your mind, Clara? He asked gently, his smile warm and inviting. Clara hesitated for a brief moment, her heart pounding like the drums of a distant parade. She had enjoyed this magical evening more than she could have imagined, but now the thought of revealing her true identity filled her with anxiety. What if he didn't accept her? What if everything they shared tonight was based on a lie? I need to tell you something important, she said, her voice shaking slightly. Jake's brows furrowed with concern, and he stepped closer, ready to listen. I've been having such an amazing time with you tonight, Clara continued, gathering her courage. But I haven't been honest about who I really am. She paused, swallowing hard as she felt the weight of her secret pressing down on her. I'm not just Clara, the girl who won all those games or the one you've enjoyed spending time with. I'm also just a girl from this small town who feels trapped by expectations. Jake's expression softened as he listened intently, encouraging her to go on. I came to the fair in disguise because I wanted to be someone different for a night, she confessed. I wanted freedom and adventure without judgment. As the final firework lit up the sky, Clara braced herself for Jake's reaction, hoping for acceptance rather than rejection. She searched his eyes for understanding, praying that their connection would remain strong despite the truth she had just shared. Would he still see her as the adventurous spirit he had come to admire? As the last firework faded into the night sky, Clara stood before Jake, her heart pounding. She searched his face for any sign of disappointment. But instead of the rejection she feared, Jake's expression softened even more. He took a step closer, his eyes sparkling with warmth and admiration. You are so brave, Clara, he said softly, his voice carrying a sincerity that made her breath catch. I can only imagine how hard it was to share that with me. Coming here in disguise takes guts. Clara blinked in surprise, feeling the weight of her worry begin to lift. She had prepared herself for anger or hurt, perhaps even confusion, but this response was entirely unexpected. You really think so? She stammered, her heart racing with hope. Absolutely, Jake affirmed, nodding earnestly. It takes courage to be true to yourself and go after what you want. I admire that about you. His gaze held hers steadily as if trying to convey all the things he felt without using words. She felt a warm flush creep into her cheeks at his praise, and a smile began to spread across her lips. Thank you, Clara replied softly, overwhelmed by relief. But it doesn't just matter who you pretend to be tonight, Jake continued, taking her hand gently in his. What matters is the incredible person standing in front of me now, someone who loves adventure and has a genuine spirit. Clara's heart swelled. It was everything she had hoped for but hadn't dared to dream would happen. Their connection felt stronger than ever in that moment, as if all the mischief and joy they had shared throughout the night culminated into something special. Just know, Jake added with a teasing spark in his eye, I would still like you if you were wearing a flower apron at your family shop. His light-hearted tone eased any lingering tension within Clara. She burst out laughing at the image it conjured up in her mind while feeling 10 feet tall. Suddenly, the weight of masks and expectation seemed insignificant compared to their authentic connection. With newfound courage simmering inside her, Clara squeezed his hand tightly and whispered back, "Then can I be myself with you from now on?" The night filled with the laughter of fairgoers suddenly echoed their possibilities as they ventured forward together into the excitement, and perhaps love, that awaited them both. As the fair began to wind down, Clara and Jake stood together, the last remnants of fireworks fading into the night sky. The vibrant lights surrounding them felt like a beautiful ending to a magical day, but for Clara, it was just the beginning. She glanced at Jake, who was still looking at her with admiration and warmth. "Can you believe all that happened tonight?" Clara said, a smile spreading across her face as she remembered every laugh, every moment they shared. "It feels like a dream." Jake chuckled softly, his eyes sparkling under the fairy lights. "It's a night I won't forget, that's for sure." He paused and took her hand gently. "I'm really glad you trusted me with your truth." Clara felt her heart swell with gratitude. She realized how liberating it was to be honest about who she was, no more hiding behind a disguise or living up to someone else's expectations. It was easier than she had anticipated, and now that secret weight was lifted. "I've always wanted to be brave enough to show my true self," Clara admitted softly. "I just didn't know if anyone would accept me." Jake shook his head gently. "You should never have doubted that, you're incredible just as you are. Being yourself is what truly wins hearts," he said with sincerity. Clara's eyes glistened with emotion as she took in his words. In Jake's eyes, she saw the acceptance she had longed for, a promise of understanding and support. It filled her with hope for the future. "Maybe this is just the start of many more adventures together," Jake suggested, a playful grin crossing his face. "What do you say we explore more fairs or even some rodeos next?" "Absolutely!" Clara exclaimed, feeling excitement bubble within her at the thought of future escapades with him by her side. As they walked hand in hand through the fairgrounds, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this was where she belonged, truly herself and open to love and adventure. With a heart full of courage and possibility, she looked forward to every moment they would share in the days ahead, knowing they would face whatever came next together.